Welcome to the Life in Michigan podcast. Life in Michigan is more than an online magazine. We share the stories, experiences, and vibrant personalities that make the Great Lakes state truly unique. In this podcast, we bring you inspiring, heartwarming, and sometimes unexpected conversations with people who call Michigan home. From the rugged beauty of the Upper Peninsula to the bustling creativity of Kalamazoo, we'll cover the stories and define what it means to live, work, and play in Michigan. Today on Life in Michigan, we are talking to Geoff Walker and Jon Teichman. They are two longtime friends who share a love of music. Together with the awesome folks at Ore Dock Brewing, they have built this fantastic community of fellow music and vinyl record lovers in Marquette. What started as a couple of tables has morphed into a full-blown cultural experience. Get cozy and join us for this conversation. Hey, Geoff, Jon, how are you guys doing?
All right, Chuck, how are you?
I'm doing good.
We're using John's phone, and it looks like maybe you're blurry, John, because you're in the background. Why don't you slide over a little closer?
That's right. Yeah, you guys got the blurred background. So nobody, everybody listening is like, what the hell are they talking about? So we do this via Zoom. You guys are up in Marquette. We're down in Ann Arbor. And you have a blurred background, so then we couldn't see Jon. He was like a little figure in the background, but now we can see him.
John looms large wherever he is, whether he's blurry or not.
That's right. I was talking to Brenda before we started. I should have looked this up because I'm pretty sure pre-pandemic we were up north a little early for the UP Beer Fest. And I saw a sign for Geoff and Jon's record show. We were going to Ore Dock, and I saw this sign, and I was like, what? There's a record show at a brewery? What the hell? This is so awesome. And that was my first experience with your guys' record show out there. And you guys have been doing that for a while. So maybe give the listeners a little bit background on who you guys are and what is the record show and that kind of stuff.
Okay. You want to?
Yeah.
Start?
So, we've known each other for over 49 years. And this is our beginning of our 12th year.
Wow.
And it started with a couple of tables and tacos.
That's right. So first of all, we're here in Jon's office on Northern Michigan University's campus. There, we're doing. But so in 12 years ago, 2013, I came up from the Detroit area with 1,500 records, and we borrowed some tables from the now defunct Ben Franklin store. And my brother, who founded Dia de los Tacos, which is a popular taco truck here in Marquette, he was just getting started, and I called him and said, "Hey, man, my counseling practice isn't getting as many clients as I want. I'd moved back from the West Coast, and I was really trying to have a successful practice as an expressive arts therapist, which I had out on the West Coast. I thought I can do this in Michigan. I'm from here. I know lots of people." And it wasn't going as well as I'd planned. And I called my brother and said, "Hey, do you think anybody cares about records in Marquette these days?" And he said, "Gee, I don't know. I could ask this new brewery opened where I've been selling tacos out of steam tables if they'd let you set up." And they said yes, and it was really successful. And then we did it again, and then we did it again. I can't remember now, John, if it was the second or third time, but our good friend Nick Erickson, who plays drums in the God Eaters, he runs Repeater Press, a letterpress business here in town, asked me to do a performance at a festival that he was hosting in Marquette. And I said, "Gee, I'd love to do it. I'm just not really sure how I can be in two places at once." I tried to get those clones out of the shop, but not working. And so I said, "Now, who would I enjoy working with? Who do I trust? Who do I?" And I went, "Jon Teichman." Hey, Jon, you mentioned before that you might be interested in setting up with me at this record event. Is that still true? and you said,
Oh, absolutely. So I think it's like, as you get older, and I think you both address this a lot in your Sunday sip, it's about taking healthy risks.
Right.
There you go.
And I think that this was a good example of a healthy risk. I mean, a lot of stretching, a lot of growing, a lot of lifting.
Yeah.
And what initially as just a few, I brought a string of Christmas lights and a couple binders of posters and some records. And now here we are where it takes all day to set up and all day to break down. And it's about 10,000 things now.
yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I mean, so I drive up on Tuesday typically. We spend all day Wednesday setting up, and then we are there at Ore Dock Brewing Company Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We get there at 11 a.m. because you never know if someone's going to show up early.
They're gonna.
And then we're the last people to leave. So we're there until, depending on the night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Sunday, thank goodness, we got a little bit wiser. We shut it down between 4 and 5. But I will say, sometimes our friends come to hang out with us, and we end up being there until 6 we end up staying till 10 because we're preparing stuff to take out on Monday and load everything out. And like I said, I was saying to you before we started recording, we had just a whole bunch of really, really great people showed up to help us set up and tear down.
That's awesome.
We usually have a couple of helpers, but I injured my bicep somehow, probably records really, and I shouldn't be moving anything. And I said, well, geez, that's not going to work out. I got to go set up a 10,000 record store in Marquette, and gave us time and energy and really took care of it.
Yeah, it was pretty humbling to just see there were a lot of people that were insisting that Geoff not pick anything up or touch anything.
They're like, no, Geoff, stay away from it. No.
Point, we'll move. And so cool.
Yeah.
So how's your arm doing?
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to tell you for sure because I'm really sore anyway.
Yeah.
So it's separate what's wrong with my arm at the moment and just my usual exhaustion after these events. I'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, you guys were kind enough to come down. So we did, for anybody that doesn't know, is listening and is like, what the hell am I talking about? Gig we had in November in Jackson, which is an art show for basically the visual arts of Michigan music, so showing off posters and concert photography. And you guys were cool enough to come down for the market, which we had, and sell some of the vinyl, which was a very abbreviated, you brought a lot of stuff, but it was like not nearly the explosion of records you can find at Ore Dock. But I remember helping carry that shit in and out. I'm like, holy crap, how do you guys do this? And then the Jenga of getting it all into the truck.
Yeah. And now I'm actually looking across John's desk here in his office, and I see a lovely photo of Wayne Kramer of the MC5 that was taken by my friend Doug Coombe, that John bought at the gig event. We had a great time there with you all. You guys put on a really good event, and it was really really fun to be a part of it.
Yeah. So I think you guys, you mentioned, Geoff, that you are from Michigan. You went out west and then came back. So, and Jon, you mentioned you guys have been together, friends for 49 years.
Together.
Yeah, together. Yeah, you're brothers. But so yeah. So what is your Michigan connections? Where did you guys grow up? How did you guys meet?
Our parents were kind of the reason we met. There was sort of this migration, I think, of people that were moving from the Metro Detroit area up to Upper Michigan. My dad used the GI Bill and went to nursing school here in Marquette. And my mom got involved with the American Red Cross. And I grew up here, and Geoff's been family. I mean, you tell that story, right, about me in utero, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, people, how long have you guys known each other? Well, I put my hand on his mom's stomach when John was in there. I think
A long time.
John's only 49, so I can only have known him 49. Yeah, but so yeah, John's folks were here. My dad was the district attorney in Marquette County for 42 years, and my mom was an elementary school teacher. We went to the same church growing up, which is not something I'm doing these days, but anyway, yeah, so uh, we lived in the same neighborhoods. We went to the same schools. Known each other forever.
Yeah, and Marquette's one of those places, and maybe you feel that way when you visit it, where it's like everybody kind of knows everybody.
Yeah.
Like we, I always say we live in a fishbowl, because we'll do promotions for this event and we'll bump into people that we have known for 10, 20, 30 years, friends of our parents. I met some distant relatives maybe at the last show, because one of the tables has the name Teichman written on it.
It's John's last name.
Yeah.
And family, this group of people from downstate, took a picture of it and texted her mom. And there's someone else in their family named John Teichman. And
I'm pretty excited.
yeah, they did get pretty excited
They
at the record show.
Yeah, I have to say, not only do we see people that we've known our whole lives, but we've also gotten to be really good friends with the children and grandchildren of our teachers and our parents' friends. I mean, like one of our really good friends volunteered to let me store 5,000 records at a location here in town, and his grandmother was my elementary school music teacher, one of my favorite teachers. So Marquette really offers us something that it would be difficult for us to replicate somewhere else.
Yeah, it does have that. What I loved about it, it did feel like, even you guys didn't know me from Adam. Walk in, I felt like super welcome. I think Geoff, you immediately just came up and started asking me questions about music, and I think you took a picture of me because you do the selfies with folks that buy albums.
Yeah, I posted a good 200 plus pictures this morning right before I came over to John's office.
Yeah, and so I definitely felt that love up there, just being up there. And I do think there is something special about that place. Brenda and I have somewhat jokingly, well, we thought about it for a hot minute to like go live up there when we were getting ready to retire, and
lucky you.
and yeah, and we thought about it good and hard, and then we were like, I don't know if I could deal with 8 months of winter.
Sorry to interrupt you, but yesterday when we got to Ore Dock Brewing Company to start packing stuff up, there was so much snow in the back we couldn't open the door.
Oh my God! Now you guys didn't? Did you get hit with the ice up there?
No, ice, snow, ice, snow. Yeah, I was gonna drive home tomorrow, but the Mackinac Bridge is closed, or at least it was the last time I looked, and get another 3 to 6 inches of ice tonight.
Yep.
3 to 6 inches of ice?
Ice, baby.
Holy Christ! Wow.
Right?
Yeah, the bridge is closed indefinitely.
Right? So
right. Like how does that happen?
We've gone back to when was the bridge built? The 50s or earlier?
In so many ways, we're going back to the 50s.
So I could drive home through Chicago, but no.
Yeah, no. That's a brutal way to go.
Got a couple of well, I was talking about how I trained as an expressive arts therapist, and I have a couple of clients still, that people I've been talking to for 25 years, who I would normally be seeing on what day is Tuesday? Oh my goodness, Tuesday. Probably will be driving home on Thursday and have to reschedule them, but And
So when you say home, where is that back? It's down here in Lower Michigan.
I live in Farmington Hills, 12 Mile and Inkster, so
Okay.
just outside of Detroit. But I've lived in Detroit, Hamtramck, Royal Oak, Ferndale, all over that area. Lived on the West Coast for 10 years. John lived out there for how long?
Well, it was a couple of summers in Santa Cruz, California, and then I have a lot of Ypsilanti pride. Spent 8 years in Ypsilanti, just adjacent to the shores of Ford Lake, which swim in. We don't swim in Ford Lake.
That's right. John, what were you doing in Ypsi?
I've been with Northern Michigan University for 27 years. I work in the admissions office. About half of our staff are located in regional locations. So I was in Ypsilanti and covered the whole Southeast Michigan area, including public schools, about 8 counties of schools that I would work with. And all the way out to Jackson, to Jackson Community College, where they have the Rockets, and then all the way up north to Flint, that area, and then all the way west over to Grosse Pointe and down to the Michigan-Ohio border.
And my favorite area of school, Martin Luther King Junior Senior High School.
Yeah.
So, when you guys were, when Jeffrey, you were talking about like how the origin of the Geoff and Jon's record show got started, and it's definitely evolved over time. What are some of like the most memorable moments for each of you that you can think of from all those 12 years of shows?
Holy cow! Well, I mean, so this last weekend we had some really amazing bands play. Sometimes we'll have bands from other areas, but there are so many great local bands in Marquette, and we got to see a bunch of them. I mean, I was floored. Now, one of them is called the God Eaters, which includes 2 of the people we've referenced already. Our friend Nick Harrison that asked me to do this performance that prompted me to bring John into this, and the fellow who's housing my records. But there were a couple times in years past where they've invited me to sit in with them, because I played in bands for a long time and was the vocalist for a band called Gravatar, and there were a couple nights where I'd get up on stage and blow out my voice real super loud. One of the other most memorable things was our. I mean, we know that there have been some shoplifters over the years, but there was one time where we caught one, and that became it's a story we come back to, because there were 3 young men sitting at the bar. It was actually the night that I was on stage with the God Eaters, and everybody was crowded up around the stage. There weren't that many people back in the record show area, and they were sitting there with a couple of LPs. And when I came back from being on stage, the guys were gone. And I looked at records, and records were gone. And we looked outside, we talked to the staff, and they were just gone. So the next evening, it was super duper busy, and I mean, like shoulder to shoulder crowded, loud as all get out. My voice sounded like this. And here comes one of these guys, and I said, "Hey man, come here." Over, and I said, "You owe me money." I said, "You stole records last night." He said, "No, I paid." He starts pointing at folks behind the bar. I said, "If you didn't pay me or John, you didn't pay." And one of our friends that was working behind the bar says, "We had you on camera." And you could just see his whole countenance drop, So I said, "Where are you from?" He's from Detroit. And I said, dialed it in, like, what neighborhood? I said, "Okay, so this local record store. Do you steal from that local record store? Because that's what you're doing here." And at this point, John walks over and says, "Should I get the van?"
Yeah, so we go down to the minivan. He gets in the front seat, and we Geoff asks him what he's majoring in.
Sociology.
And he says sociology.
It's a pretty interesting sociological experience doing here, isn't it? I said, if you're on any kind of financial assistance, you could lose that right now because this guy is your admissions officer. Well, playing it up
really laid it on thick. And then
and he didn't put his seatbelt on.
That's right.
Ding, ding. What did he say?
Yeah, so the dad and me, I've got 4 children. I go, put on your seatbelt.
I think he said, son, put your seatbelt on, son.
But
we took him to his apartment.
Yeah.
We went inside. We retrieved the records, which he had taped to the wall, so they're all messed up
with duct tape.
And I said,
"Oh no!"
Wallet out of your pocket. And he took. So the first thing that came over to me, I said, and I told him that he owes his money. I said, let me see your driver's license. He got it out, put it on the bar. I took a picture of it and put his driver's license in my pocket.
Oh my God.
I've got to say that we've seen this fellow around town since then, and we're good. You know?
Good.
Solved everything. So,
yeah.
Oh my God.
The van, she goes, why does the van smell so earthy? Sorry. And she goes, you did what? You know what could have happened? And so the best part about the show is that, and on our website, for my record shop in town, mqtemp.com, we've got a whole timeline of all of our past posters. And in honor of Geoff's lawful intervention here, the staff at Ore Dock made Geoff as RoboCop. This whole exchange.
Awesome.
So it was.
You're coming with me.
Yeah. Dead or alive, you're coming with me to the record show. And
I remember that poster.
So, that's a standout. A lot of it, though, is just the folks who show up and are surprised by what they find, who are excited by what they find, that wow, that's the record that my grandma lost in the fire, or this is the one that my dad played for me when I was a child. Like we get a lot of I talk often about how, even though I don't work as a therapist as much anymore, we have a lot of art therapy experiences. Because in the art therapy world, there's active art therapy and receptive art therapy. And listening to music is receptive music or art therapy. Okay. And then the experience of connecting around it with people in your life can be so potent, as you guys know. So there've just been so many of those. It would be hard to even.
Yeah, I mean, I think that watching, the growth. I mean, we've seen people that have come to us as middle schoolers, that turn into high schoolers, that turn into college students,
that go off to school and come back.
People that come from all 4 corners of the Upper Peninsula and all over the Upper Midwest.
Upper Midwest, people come to see us from Grand Rapids, from the Sioux, from northern Minnesota. I mean, like I guess we're doing something right.
Yeah, and I think some of the the local music scene here is really special. I think because of the university, you do get that kind of turnover and always ideas and people that are willing to put time in to create something new and exciting. We've also had a lot of really interesting regional artists like Chloe Kimes from Nashville, and the fella from Green Sky Bluegrass,
Dave Bruza.
And one of my favorites, Charlie Parr from Duluth, Minnesota, plays the resonator guitar. And I think that Ore Dock has been just this, what you call a locus, a magnet. That the word community is on their website. It's on
we signs in the community room.
Yeah,
and they've forever offered free Wi-Fi. The upstairs is open for students to use as a study hall.
They've had play rehearsals up there, yoga classes.
Oh my God, so many different things.
Book clubs.
Yeah, so it's not uncommon for us to overlap other community events. Whether that's a wedding reception or a baby shower. I mean, and we'll go over and say, hey, what kind of music do you guys like? And play stuff that they're going to enjoy, you know, and
Yeah.
then sometimes if we're lucky, they invite us to eat with them.
So let me clarify for the listeners out there that might not be familiar. So you do this once a year, or do you do it multiple times a year? Because we were there in the fall and I thought the record show was going on.
Yeah. 5 times it sounds like.
Yeah, so 5 times a year, and I'm really thrilled to say that confirmed our whole schedule this year already. So, you know, we just passed the first one. We'll be there Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, and Halloween weekends. And they're all 4-day events with the exception of Labor Day. We add an extra day at Labor Day. So 5 days.
Nice. So yeah, we're planning to come up early again this year. We did it last year. I went to the record show last year. For the Labor Day one, because we always come up for the UP Fall Beer Fest, and yeah, I'm already figuring that we need to get over there.
That solves that. We're coming up early for Labor Day. We were trying to decide when we were going to come up, so we'll be up for Labor Day. And so and then do you have a record store? Do you have a physical presence, or is it only this show?
Well, yes. It grew out of the show, honestly, because every show that we do, people bring records, CDs, tapes, media of all kinds, and the stuff starts to pile up. So back in 2020, at the kickoff of the pandemic, my wife said, "Hey, there's a space downtown. Why don't you put a shop down there?" And so we started, we were appointment only, masks on, people would call ahead, and we put about 3,000 records down there. The Emporium Featuring Vintage Vinyl, which was our first location.
Which you can find as on Instagram, the Emporium Featuring Vintage Vinyl.
And we have recently moved to 3rd Street. We were able to purchase a building next to the legendary pasta shop at 8th North 3rd. It's a house from 1898 with a full basement that we've filled with, I don't know,
records,
5,000 records down there. The main floor has all the bins and the stereo and different spaces and 3,000 CDs. And then we have tenants upstairs. And 3rd Street in Marquette is really the gateway to downtown. It's the bridge, I think, between the university and the city. There's a really close relationship between the university and the city of Marquette. And we're in the heart of it. And we opened up Valentine's Day at our new location, and it's just been a really great community response. So when I'm not at the university, I'm at the shop. When I'm not at the shop, I'm on the road with this guy.
Yeah, we I can't remember now, but 20. We're doing at least 20 shows together this year.
Yeah,
multi-day events, and then the rest of them are one-day things. So Record Store Day is coming up
April 12th.
April 12th, we'll be at the Ann Arbor District Library.
We'll be in your neighborhood.
Oh, all right then. I got to go there too. Excellent.
He's got a long list. He's got a long list for Record Store Day.
And then we're going to pack up and drive over to Okemos and do a show with Tesco V at the Lansing Collectible Record. I think they say toy, comic, and record. They put records last. I put them first. Then I want to mention that John always comes down in July. I mean, we do a lot of shows together, but in July we do something really special at Eastern Market in Detroit, the Detroit Festival of Books.
Oh, what a segue.
Yeah, it was next on our list. It's funny you should mention that.
We'll be there. John and I will have 4 tables of records. The vast majority of the vendors there are book dealers, but we have a great time with DJ Seven Whales, who plays the heavy funk, and we dance and sing and it's always the weather has been great every time. It's been hot. The people watching is amazing. Really encourage y'all to come out for that. That's July 20th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, July 20th.
And so yeah, I know that you've been in touch with Ryan Place, and some other folks to talk about that. So I definitely wanted to make sure to get that in there. And then John just grabbed a flyer for another really important event that.
Can I say something about
Please do. No.
This event is the place to be in Detroit on this day. I mean, we were next to Darren McCarty of the Detroit Red Wings. We were, one time we were next to, I see all of Chuck's posters over there. We were next to legendary Detroit poster artist Carl Lundgren.
Oh, yeah.
We're also within the vicinity of Gary Grimshaw. His Laura, Gary Grimshaw, she had all of his stuff there. And then last
Lenny Sinclair was there.
But also,
I remember now.
The governor showed up last time.
Oh yeah. We
had a front row seat. The governor had a book, and she had a photo op, and I mean, it's a great event. And I think especially for people who are listening, who maybe live outside the area, this is a great time to come to Detroit because everybody's there and everything is there. I mean, it's a book festival, but it really is like a festival of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have such a good time with that event. The people, I mean, it's free to attend. I think we roughly had 25,000 people come through last year.
Wow.
And Facebook page, last I looked, it was showing something near 20,000 that were identifying themselves as interested a month ago. I mean,
wow. And it's not till July.
This thing rocks. This thing really rocks. I mean, and big surprise, Detroit, the home of rock and roll, the home of punk rock, the home of techno, the home of Motown. I mean, it is, the Metro Detroit area, for anybody that does or doesn't know, is really one of the birthplaces of modern music in just about every genre. I mean, so many of the most important jazz musicians are from Detroit. Techno, Detroit, like, steal my pride. I'm gonna get all.
So you guys have your handbills for the gig event in Jackson. We would be happy to hand those out to every person that walks by our table.
Well, that would be awesome.
Thank you. We'll hit you up for that. I was actually sort of thinking we should get down there and try to get a table, and but we're happy to have you hand them out. But
sold out for this year, but you could probably get on the list for next year. And we do have information tables there too, where we could share stuff, because John and I are really, really big on community building and helping people grow around positive things. What is it that you say, that there's some phrase that you
in these times have things to look forward to that are positive and build you up.
That's right.
There's the Sunday Sip essay topic, right?
There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, so how did you guys get involved with the book festival? Because we went the very first year and it was awesome. And like you said, it's much more than books and it's very fun. We're looking forward to going again. But how did you guys get involved?
Well, so I have a good friend. His name is Carlton Goals, who founded the Detroit Sound Conservancy. The Detroit Sound Conservancy is a nonprofit that is dedicated to preserving Detroit's musical heritage. They're in the process of rehabbing a historic jazz club called the Bluebird Cafe, where people like Miles Davis would have played when they came through town. And so I think it was the second year of Bookfest, Carlton said, "Hey, I have a table, but Detroit Sound Conservancy doesn't have a whole lot of stuff. We just have information. We have a couple of T-shirts, we have some pamphlets." He said, "Would you be interested in bringing boxes of Michigan-related records and talking up the DSC?" And I said, "Heck yeah!" Then I said, "Hey, John, this thing was great. You got to come down for this." So we've been doing it ever since. So again, Detroit Sound Conservancy, you can find them on the internet. They'd be a great organization for you to send $20 to help support our musical community and Detroit's musical legacy. I do again see that John picked up for an important event that the folks at Bay College asked us to sit in and talk to them about organizing a few years back. John, you want to talk about BayCon?
So this is the fourth BayCon. This is back to the BayCon. This is there's a lot of comic cons and pop cultural events, but this is a unique one in Upper Michigan because the response is so tremendous. There were 4,800 people that walked through the event last year.
It's on the front page of the Mining Journal today.
Yeah. Well, all right. It happens at Bay College, which is an hour south of us in Escanaba.
Community College in Escanaba.
And Escanaba is also the home of the UP State Fair. And I think that people in Delta County, like to me at least when we were there, it felt like it was the only thing that was happening in the entire county and everybody was there. So there's like 75 vendors there. Geoff will be there. I'll be there. The theme is Back to the Future, or Back to the BayCon, so a Back to the Future theme. So there will be a DeLorean there. It's up to 88 miles an hour.
Capacitor.
I know, 1.21 gigawatts. How am I going to power, Geoff? So stormtroopers, cosplay, vintage toys, video games, pinball machines, live music, taco truck, and then a variety of interesting celebrities. So Sean Chiplock, who is in the Legend of Zelda video games. I don't know a lot about the guests, but people are really excited about them. And it's an all-in-one kind of event, and that's on Saturday, May 3rd, all day long at Bay College. And what's really cool, I think, about this con is that they've got a real family-oriented pricing structure and admission structure. And I think that I've been to these conventions, and sometimes by the time you get out of the parking lot, you've already spent $50.
Right.
Convention, and this one is very different. And
I think I don't remember how much the admission is because it supports the college and a lot of student related funds. There is a small admission fee, but it's really nominal and it's so worth it.
And I think it's really like the whole, like the Escanaba, Gladstone, the whole Delta County area. This is about an hour south of us. They're still about 163 miles from the bridge. If you want to make the trip up, the bridge will be. And
hopefully the bridge will be open by May 3rd.
But it's a really great event, and I think that really the best thing about doing these events is all the people that we've gotten to know, including yourselves, through these events is just, expanding that community of like-minded folks. And we just raise each other up, and that's so essential in these times.
In these times, Geoff, when you were talking about, doing and I'm gonna butcher it. It's, what is it? Art therapy. What was it called?
The therapy you do.
Yeah, expressive arts therapy.
Okay, so we just watched. Was it 60 Minutes or was it Sunday Morning? One of those shows, but they were talking about a
that woman,
yeah. There's I came unprepared as far as what her organization is, but it resonated with me because talking about how either doing art, like you were saying, like you're making art, or just experiencing art, like the health, like physical health benefits, not just mental health, but your physical well-being is enhanced by that. And I don't know, just talking with you guys now, I feel physically well.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you reaching out to us, and I remember meeting you guys that first time you came to the Ore Dock Brewing Company, Geoff and Jon's record show, and we're really pleased to be able to continue to collaborate with you.
Yeah, that's really special. That art space that you have there is like so cozy, and I think the really neat thing for me is like a fan of rock art. We have 64 images on the wall in my office space here. But meeting people whose posters I'd collected for years at that event was really just really cool. Especially the fellow who did Craig Hockey that did your
Craig Horkey, yep.
Yeah, like that was, I've been following his work for over 10 or 15 years. He used to be on gigposters.com. And I was talking about posters. He's like, oh, I don't have those anymore. But it was just this really great experience for me. I had a wonderful time.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of that, we're doing it again on November 8th if you guys are free and want to make the trip.
We'll have to take a look at our calendars. I'd be interested.
All right, yeah. Take a look at your calendars and let me know, because I'll make sure we've got some tables for you guys, because it was awesome having you there last time.
Great. And if you wouldn't mind sending us, just send us an email.
Yeah, for sure.
I take a lot of notes when I'm here, and then often, because it's such a long run of long days, it's not uncommon for me to find all those notes 2 months later and go, oh shoot, I actually follow up with stuff. Emails and Instagram messages, because it prompts me to take care of the things I said. Yeah.
This has been really cool. I really look forward to the next time we see you all in person. It'll be really, really fun. And I don't know. I mean, I think about just the convergence of all this, the art and the music, the records, and most importantly, the community of people that continues to grow. I mean, it really gets us charged up. I mean, I think our energy is pretty low today after a week of lifting, carrying, and talking and on. But we're ready for the next show.
That's awesome. Well, and what I was thinking about, because Brenda's working on an article about breweries and collaborations, and this is like another great, not just like beer to beer, like let's brew a beer together, but Ore Dock is basically partnered, with you guys to create an experience for folks, and that's awesome. It's so cool that they are so supportive of that.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it without them, I mean, really. We've gotten to know a lot of the staff over the years. The owners are great people. They hire really great people. They promote from within. They are, as John said earlier, really focused on community, and so it seems like it has been a really great collaboration for us. And yeah, I mean, we get like if you look at, so I am Michigan Records on Instagram, and if you pull up the Michigan Records Instagram page, not only will you see dozens, if not hundreds, of beautiful people holding beautiful records, but you'll see pictures of the folks that showed up to help us move in and out, and us taking pictures with staff because they're our friends.
That's awesome. So the next event is Memorial Day weekend, right?
The next Ore Dock show, the next Geoff and Jon's record show at Ore Dock Brewing Company will be Memorial Day weekend.
Yep. And then May 3rd is the BayCon, so that'll be a big one. So that'll be cool.
And then Record Store Day down here.
Yeah,
in
Record Store Day.
Yeah. You'll see us. We'll be over there for that.
Yeah.
That library gig there, they do a really nice job. The volunteers that help us move stuff. Yeah, we're really looking forward to that. We haven't been able to be there for a couple of years because it has overlapped with our BayCon event. And I'm just really glad that this year that's not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, so
go ahead, babe.
We're kind of wrapping it up here. So we do have a final question. We ask. We've kind of like merged this question. It's kind of evolved over time, and it's so what is your perfect Michigan day? Okay, where would you go? What would you do? And what beverage would you finish it with?
Whoa. Wow. Ice cold hams in a bottle from '84, listening to Sun by the Meat Puppets in the direct sunlight of any backyard in Marquette.
Awesome.
Wow. So a Marquette day, really, I mean, anytime the sun's out in Marquette, I mean, yesterday was like a robin's egg, blue sky with just the sun was bouncing off the snow. And in spite of the fact that we had to dig ourselves out of everywhere we went, because of that warm sunshine, it really buoyed everything. And I think that, one of my favorite records is Hollywood Town Hall by the Jayhawks. Listening to that record, driving in my truck back and forth across town with a whole bunch of records in the back, and drinking a Diet Verner's in the car.
Excellent.
Burners.
Excellent. Nice.
Like standing on the edge of Lake Superior and feeling my toes in the sand. During the summer months, it's not uncommon to find us flopping around in the water because that cold water really takes the pain out of the body for a couple of days. And so whatever cold beverage you can throw at me in that moment.
Yeah, we've got a number of people that come to our show that are big proponents of this cold water therapy and going into the lake
every month.
Oh my God.
For like 15 to 20 months. And God bless those folks. That's a commitment that I don't know if I'm ready to make.
Shout out to Brian and Natasha.
Yeah. But
y'all are crazy and I love you.
I think that's a great question. I think that, music's meant to be shared and beverages are meant to be shared. Mm-hmm. And I look forward to the next time that we get to share music and beverage with you all.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. Well, Geoff, Jon, thank you guys so much. We'll put a bunch of information in the show notes and links and everything for as much stuff as we can, but so appreciate you guys. So appreciate the love that you give as from your sharing of music and just being awesome folks. And thank you so much for being on Life in Michigan.
Oh, thanks for your interest. We can't do it without you.
So awesome. All right, guys, take care.
All right,
Thanks.
see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, Chuck, how many records do you think you'll bring home from the next Geoff and Jon record show?
I'm going to try to restrain myself, but you know how that goes. It was so much fun to talk with Geoff and Jon.
Yes, they're doing what we've been talking about, building community. I also love that they've been friends since before Jon was born.
Yeah, that was a great story. Listening to them actually makes me want to move up to Marquette.
Oh, well, we'll remember how much snow they get up there. Plus, they will be down this way for Record Store Day in Ann Arbor, as well as the Detroit Book Fest. So you'll have plenty of FaceTime with them.
That's right. So I'm looking forward to that. Be sure to check out the show notes as we've got links and a few photos to share with you about Geoff and Jon, their record show, and their upcoming events, including Record Store Day at the Ann Arbor District Library and Detroit Book Fest. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to catch every episode of Life in Michigan. Help us spread the word by rating the show, sharing it with your friends, your neighbors, your family, your mail carrier. Share it with everybody, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay connected by following us on our website and social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, take care and have a fantabulous day in Michigan.